Hmm. Returning to the videos I've been watching, the documentaries, I would like to just point out that the greatest failings in each and every case were the failings of the police. I just rerun this in my mind. I actually started with Marc Dutroux, bad pronunciation, the Belgian. I actually can't think of a word for him, although I do believe, and all the evidence is, that he was part of a very large, a very elite paedophile ring. Because one policeman ignored a man who said, "I can hear voices inside this building." Because that policeman ignored that man, 2 little girls starved to death. Little girls. Now, if one man could hear their voices inside the building and be 100% certain that their voices were inside the building, wouldn't you think that the policeman would at least, even if he had his doubts, check it out? That was his job. 2 little girls starved to death, and 2, believe it or not, were buried alive. They seem to have been kept out of the news. Just the good part of the story, whereby 2 little girls were actually rescued. And the others, the dead ones, forgotten about. Although there was, if you listen to the documentaries, the evidence of corruption, police corruption, and elite paedophile involvement is huge in that case. Right, I have watched rather a lot today. There's Elizabeth Smart, who perhaps religion does have a role to play. Seems a remarkably forgiving young woman. The police missed 3 opportunities to rescue her. One on the very night that she was abducted. She was 14. Natasha Camput, she was 10. Let's get my facts straight here. She was 14, but apparently quite a small, underdeveloped 14. And there she was with a man who, judging by the photos, looked a lot like Rasputin. Late at night, a police car passed and did not stop. Well, I thought the whole point of police cars cruising around was to be vigilant for criminal activity. Surely he could have at least stopped to ask was all well, and that was her chance, wasn't it? Or would have been. Then her captor took her to, I think it was a Walmart, in an outfit that looked quite a lot like a burqa. Just a slit for her eyes, basically. And the policeman, instead of being dead suspicious, he actually did think she was Elizabeth Smart. Nevertheless, he accepted the explanation of this Rasputin-like figure that the child was his daughter and they were part of some religious cult. Surely he could have said, "Well, okay, you say she's your daughter, but we do have reports that she's actually Elizabeth Smart. Surely you wouldn't object to us just lifting that veil and checking it out, and everybody will be happy, and, this will bring peace of mind to Elizabeth Smart's parents." He was a policeman, goddammit. Check it out. Lift her veil, just let her see, mate. No. Then she was in a library, wasn't she? And a similar failure of anyone to do anything because she was wearing this bloody burqa type thing. Then the younger sister remembered who it was who had actually kidnapped her sister. She said, "Oh God, yeah, it was that man we gave work to. I remember." And they did a photo fit of him. But the police had another lead, so they didn't put that photo fit up. So that lost Elizabeth Smart yet another month. of being raped on a daily basis. I can't quite remember how that photo did eventually get out, but once it did, he was caught and her ordeal was over. Stupid police. Are they employed for their stupidity, or are they employed for their corruption? I ask myself. Whatever part of the world they may be in. So far I've got 2 little girls in the Mark Dutroux case who starved to death because the policeman wouldn't check out the voices that another man could hear. Elizabeth Smart, who could have been rescued by the police on at least 3 occasions before she was. Trying to remember, in the case of Natasha Kampusch, they do seem to have this thing about cellars and dungeons in Austria and sex slaves. I've watched too much in one day. She was only 10. In which case was it? Yes, it was in fact in that case that they had, unless I'm very much mistaken, I'll have to watch it again, the name and address of the abductor almost from day one. Can't quite remember why they didn't act on that, because the girl was his slave for 8.5 years. She refuses to say whether or not she was raped by him, but I think we can make a wild guess on that one. Of course, it's her prerogative not to say what was done to her sexually without her consent. That's entirely her prerogative, but I think most people would have a job believing that a young girl can be kept in a cellar for 8.5 years by a man and there not be a sexual motive there somewhere. Yeah, she was the one whose name and they had her abductor's name and address almost from day one. And in the Fritzl case, it was a question of culture, really. To be fair, no, it wasn't. No, the police were complicit once again, and this, too, I can identify with. She ran away when she was 17 years old. She escaped her father, who had been abusing her since she was 11. She was starting up a little life for herself. 17. And the police took her back to her father, who then vowed that she would never escape him again, and imprisoned her for 24 years in a dungeon, giving her 7 children in the process. Other than that, I suppose you couldn't fault the Austrian police, could you? Yeah, I ran away once and I was returned immediately to my parents. But anyway, seems to be an Austrian culture to mind your own business, to not get involved, to ask no questions, to not notice anything amiss. And those are the ones who survived. Hundreds of thousands of children and adults go missing every single year. I forget what the figure is daily in America. Something fantastic. You have to wonder how many of those died in cellars or dungeons. As 2 of the survivors pointed out, had anything happened to their captors, they would have starved to death in those dungeons. The captors only got to be run over by a bus, fall sick, be attacked himself, go into hospital. That's it, they're dead. And that being the case, I wonder exactly how many people are buried underground somewhere. Or atop a mountain, as in the case of Elizabeth Smart. So many places to dispose of bodies. I must admit that does make me wonder why my father's circle made rather a point of not disposing of the bodies, but making certain people knew that the victims had been murdered. That's almost on a side there, isn't it?